All praises to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and peace to everyone joining me on this program. This is the Fountain of Israel's Bible Studies program, and as always, it's an honor for me to stand before you on the Lord's holy Sabbath day. Now, this is not an ordinary Sabbath day. It's one of the Lord's high Sabbath days. It's a wonderful, glorious day. And this is the memorial of the blowing of the trumpets. This is the Feast of Trumpets, right? So this is a time where we start looking into or have the opportunity to kind of look over the Most High's shoulder and see part of his plan of salvation, right? We get to kind of look at that and see, okay, so what is he going to do overall, right? And that's why the Israelites had to rehearse the matter. They had to do the matter, way back when he gave it to them, way back, in Exodus, way back in Leviticus, when he started having them do certain things like keeping the Passover and unleavened bread and things like that, and atonement over in Leviticus 16 and things like that, right? So we start looking at, what is, the Feast of Trumpets? What does that mean, right? And typically, the trumpets mean either a warning or an announcement that something is coming, right? Typically that's really what it boils down to, right? It is a warning or something is coming. And in this case, the king is coming, right? We're going to look at some passages that actually, it speaks of, a warning and things like that. But we're also going to look at announcement. So the Feast of Trumpets is really about the announcement of the return of the king, right? The announcement that the king is coming, that the Messiah is about to come to earth, right? So we're going to go ahead and look at this, and then we're going to dive a little deeper into it and just have a good time in the Most High. Yeah, this is awesome. This is awesome, right? This is awesome for us to be able to look into the playbook, right? It's awesome for us to be able to say, okay, wow, I know what this means now. I know what the Father's trying to tell me, right? Or trying to tell all of us, right? So this is just basically about an announcement, and we're going to start over in Colossians 2, right? Excuse me. Let's go to Colossians 2. And then, of course, we'll go into Leviticus as well, which is where we find it, right? So let's take a look here. In Colossians 2, I'm going to start at verse 11, and then we'll jump around a little bit, right? So let's do 11 through 14, and then we'll jump. But in 11, it says, "In whom also ye are circumcised with the circumcision made without hands, and putting off the body of sin of flesh by the circumcision of Christ, buried with him in baptism, wherein also ye are risen with him through the faith of the operation of God, who has raised him from the dead. And you, being dead in your sins and the uncircumcision of your flesh, has he quickened together with him, having giving ye all trespasses, blotting out the handwriting of ordinances that was against us, which was contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it to the cross." Now, obviously, you have a lot of people who, being misinformed. They're thinking that he nailed the Ten Commandments, and he nailed the Torah to the cross. He didn't nail the Torah to the cross. Okay, this lesson isn't about that, but let me just say that it can't be further from the truth. Okay, he blotted out your sins, right? That's what he did. He nailed all that. He nailed the penalty of you breaking it to the cross, right? So let's drop down to verse 16. It said, "Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of a holy day," that's not a holiday, a holy day, "or of a new moon or of the Sabbaths," right? Because a new moon, it tracks the new month. It's a new month, and then they used to blow a trumpet. They'll blow the trumpet to signify, okay, boom, it's another month going, right? So they'll have a new moon feast or a new moon, a little dinner or something like that. "Or of a Sabbath or Sabbath days, which are shadows of things to come, but the body is of Christ." Now, some people probably take, well, which are shadows? No, it's not the real deal. Another way to say that, it foreshadows, right? It foreshadows. We're doing all this because it foreshadows of something to come, right? So let's not, let's not let someone come in and try to confuse us on that, right? So with that, we're going to go ahead and go to Leviticus 23. Leviticus 23. And then we're going to start looking at these trumpets, and let's see, what does it mean? What does all these things mean, right? And we're going to let the scripture bear that out, right? So we're going to go to Leviticus 23. And I'm going to start it at verse 1. And then we'll move down to the trumpets here in just a second. So starting in verse 1. we read, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feasts of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be a holy convocation. Even these are my feasts. 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest, a holy convocation. And ye shall do no work therein. It is a Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons," right? So he's going to say, this is what we're going to do every time in their season. And we know seasonal, summer, winter, spring, fall. Okay. So, not in that order, of course, but you see how we do that, right? Now we're going to drop down to 23. And he says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the seventh month, in the first day of the month, ye shall have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, and holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord." Okay, so no servile, no work for money, right? Work for pay. Obviously, you can prepare for the feast. It is a feast. And then obviously, you're going to make an offering made by fire. So yeah, you can cook, right? So it's not the same kind of Sabbath. Oh, well, you can't cook on the, weekly Sabbath, right? On this one, you can, because it's a feast. You got to cook food. Okay. So ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord, right? So that's what we're looking at. Okay, so now we're talking about, this is the memorial of the blowing of the trumpets, right? Or Feast of Trumpets for short, right? So this is the Feast of Trumpets, and now let's look at these trumpets, right? It symbolizes things, all right? It's symbolic, right? So Psalm 81 and 3. Psalm 81 and 3, and look in the description box below to find all these scriptures that I am referencing. Psalms 81 and 3, which reads, "Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed, on our solemn feast day." So this one is on the feast day. Now, this one right here in the new moon, we see that the Feast of Trumpets starts the first day of the seventh month. So it's a new moon, and it is the feast day. It is a Sabbath. So it's kind of almost like a double Sabbath, right? And I'm not saying the new moon is necessarily a Sabbath, but it is one of those days that, it is recognized, and they will, blow a trumpet and things like that, right? So it is recognized like that. So it says, "Blow up the trumpet in the new moon." So a new month had just started, "in the time appointed, on our solemn feast day," right? So when we go back over in Leviticus 23, when it says, "In the seventh month, in the first day of the month, ye shall have a Sabbath," right? So you're going to have a Sabbath. And what is that Sabbath? Feast of Trumpets, right? In the seventh month, first day, Feast of Trumpets, right? So that's why it kind of coincided right there. First day, seventh month. Okay, got it. It is the Feast of Trumpets. Okay, so we're going to go on over to Exodus 19, right? Because I like to unpack everything that we're talking about. I like to kind of unpack it and really kind of, get an understanding and see what our ancestors, what did our forefathers do, right? Whether it be good or bad, what did they do, right? To give us an understanding. Okay, Exodus 19. And when we get there, I'm going to start at verse 10. Exodus 19 and verse 10. And it said, "And the Lord said unto Moses, Go unto the people and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes. And be ready against the third day, for the third day the Lord will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai. And thou shalt set bounds unto the people round about, saying, Take heed to yourselves, that ye go not up into the mount, or touch the border of it. Whosoever toucheth the mount shall be surely put to death. There shall not a hand touch it, but he shall surely be stoned or shot through. Whether it be beast or man, it shall not live. When the trumpet sounded long, they shall come up to the mount." Okay, so right there we look at okay, this is when you know the Lord is not playing with you. Okay, he said nobody touch it. There's gonna be a border. Don't touch it. Okay, no, I don't care if it's an animal or a man. Nobody touch it, or you will die. Okay, get shot through. So it just shows you the Lord. He was very, very serious about that. So they want to do it when the trumpets sound long. Then you're going to come up to the mount. And 14, it says, "And Moses went down from the mount unto the people and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes." Okay. And he said unto the people, be ready against the third day. Come not at your wives, right? So no funny business, right? No brown chicken, brown cow. You just got to clean yourself up, sanctify yourself, and just be ready, right? For the third day, right? And it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled. And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with God. And they stood at the neither part of the mount. And Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire. And the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly, right? So remember, the trumpet sounded loud for a long time, signifying, letting them know, hey, I'm coming. I'm about to show up, right? The trumpet sounded very loud for that, right? And all these things will start to happen. And 19. And when the voice of the trumpet sounded long and waxed louder and louder, Moses spake, and God answered him by a voice. Boy, can you just simply imagine what that was like, right? Let's just try to get a mental picture there. That's just got to be awe-inspiring and magnificent, right? Okay, in 20. And the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai on the top of the mount, and the Lord called Moses up to the top of the mount, and Moses went up. And the Lord said unto Moses, go down, charge the people, lest they break through unto the Lord to gaze, and many of them perish. And let the priests also, which come near to the Lord, sanctify themselves, lest the Lord break forth upon them. Right? Unless he has to kill you, right? Unless they come try to, sneak a peek and, come a little too close, right? I don't want them to push their luck. Just let them know. Just charge, give them a warning. Let them know, hey, don't play. Don't come near, okay? Don't do that, right? So again, announcement was made. The Most High showed up, right? So Exodus 20 and 18, right? So let's go to the next chapter, and just going to read one verse. In 20 and 18 of Exodus, it says, and all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off, which means they ran. Okay, they ran. They just like, oh, whoa, what is going on? Okay, so that's why I said it was probably an awe-inspiring, just a magnificent sight, right? I mean, you're near the mountain, near the mountain. Moses is doing his thing, set a border around the mountain. Trumpets begin to sound loud. Then you got thunder and lightning and smoke in the mountain, and the smoke is surrounding the mountain and all. I mean, it's just got. I mean, I guess we just had to be there for us to really know, right? So let's go on over to the New Testament in John 14. Okay? John 14. Because we're going to get this thing real nice. John 14. And I'm just going to read the first 3 verses. John 14, first 3 verses. Verse 1 reads, Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions, and if it were not so, I would have told you, I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. Right? So we got the Messiah saying that, hey, I'm gonna prepare a place. Everything's getting ready, right? Gonna get ready, right? So he's preparing a place over in heaven right now. He's preparing it. I didn't say that's where you're going. I just said that's where he's going to go prepare it. And it's just like an old custom, right? It's just like an old custom. And if you go to a father, right, and you ask for his daughter's hand in marriage, and he says, okay, all right. Now, next, you need to go and prepare a place, right? Don't bring it to your house until you have a house, right? Don't bring it to your nest until it's ready to go. So she's going to remain in her father's house. She's going to stay where she is until you're ready to receive her. Now, all that time, you're engaged, so she's yours. The father agrees. You're engaged, so she's yours, but you're not doing anything until you are ready, right? You're ready, The same thing. It's kind of like Jacob, except he stayed there. But he worked the 7 years for one of his wives. He worked the 7 years, and he was ready to have her. Okay, so he kind of, that was his. Okay, him working the 7 years was basically like the bride price, right? And of course, he worked another 7 years for Rachel. And so in reality, he worked 14 years for Rachel because he didn't get her first. But anyway, he worked. He put in the work. So the same thing for the Messiah. He's going to put in the work, right? So I'm going prepared. He paid the price. He paid the price. He sacrificed. At this point he hadn't been crucified just yet, but he'll be crucified, pay the price, go back, okay, and go back and prepare a place, right? He's at the right hand of the Father, and then when it's time to make his enemies his footstool, he comes back to pick up his bride, okay? So after that, let's go look at Acts chapter 1, okay? So we know he was crucified and all that, but he said, hey, I'm going to go. Pretty soon I'll die, I'll resurrect, I'll go back, but I'm going to go and prepare a place for you, right? So let's go to Acts 1, and this is after his resurrection, his death, burial, and his resurrection, right? So Acts 1, I'm going to start over in 6, and we'll jump around just a little bit. In verse 6, he says, when they, therefore, were come together, talking about the apostles, they asked him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel? And he said unto them, it is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father has put in his own power. Okay? And then we're going to drop down to 9. He says, and we have spoken these things while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. Okay, so he was taken up. So he began to ascend, right? And then obviously a cloud kind of surrounded him, and he just kept going up until they didn't see him anymore, right? He just kept on ascending. And while they looked steadfastly towards heaven as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel. And these were angels, right? And they said, which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into the heaven? This same Jesus, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. They returned they unto Jerusalem from the what? Mount called Olivet, which is from Jerusalem a Sabbath day journey. Do we understand what's going on? Okay, so we have a geographical location. And what did the 2 angels say? They said, hey, you men of Galilee, why are you standing here, staring into heaven? The same way he went up is the same way he's going to come down, right? And then we see exactly where they are. They are on the Mount of Olives, right? So when he comes back, where is he going? Okay, so rather than me just tell you, why don't I just read to you where he's going to be when he actually does come back, when he returns, right? So let's take a look, right? Now, Zechariah 14. Zechariah 14 gives us, an idea when he returns, right? So Zechariah 14, I'm going to start at verse 1, and it says, behold, the day of the Lord cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. Okay, so it means business, right? And the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity. Then the residue of thy people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fought in the day of battle. Verse 4, and his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives. What? Oh, that's just a little saying. Oh, well, no, let's read a little bit more. Which is before Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west. And there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south. Now, gave us another geographical location, and then it says his feet shall stand on a Mount of Olives. Is that not consistent with what we read in Acts? Is that not consistent? And this is talking about his return. And in that day, when he come back, he's going to gather all the nations. See, none of this stuff happened yet, right? So this is when he comes back. Okay, he didn't do all that in his first advent. He didn't do all that in the first century. Okay. So we're still waiting. If we are believers in the Bible, we're still waiting on him to actually do that. So when he comes back, his feet will stand on a Mount of Olives. And he's going to gather all nations, right? So let's keep going, right? So let's look at a little bit of the unfolding, right? Because I know a lot of people will attribute Matthew 24 to 70 AD, and I'm not going to dispute that. Yeah, I think it all started there. It didn't end there, okay? It's an unfolding, okay? The plan is being unfolded, right? It's continuing to unfold. We're starting to get a little bit, as each day goes by, more and more things, more and more parts of his plan are being revealed. I mean, we can agree on that, right? So Matthew 24, we're going to start at 3 and then move around. Matthew 24 and 3, and he says, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, wow, he really likes the Mount of Olives, right? The disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? So that's 3 questions, and they want to kind of give an answer. And then when you read of all of Matthew 24, he gives you, he answers them, right? But we're going to drop down to 32. He says, now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender and put forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh, right? So likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the door. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled, okay? And I'm still here. And I'm going to just skip back a little. I'm going to go back, okay? That was 32. That was 32 to 34, but now I'm going to skip back to 11. Now watch this. So he's going to show a couple of signs. So in that day, whenever that day is, these are the type of things that are going to be going on. It's been going on for a long time. It's been going on for centuries, but it's still going to be going on even then, right? Even on that day. And it said, verse 11, he says, and many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, shall be a lot, all right? And the love of many shall wax cold, right? Now we know what love, okay, so the iniquity shall abound, means shall increase. So iniquity, sin shall increase, right? And then it says, for the love of many shall wax cold, many will go down and people won't love, right? And they're not talking about the touchy-feely, all right? What is going to make sin rise? When the commandments come down. If you love me, keep my commandments. First commandment, love God with all thy heart, might, and soul, right? And your mind, heart, soul, all that, right? And then love thy neighbor as thyself, right? So people are not going to be loving their neighbor as themselves, and people are not going to be loving God, right? So if we get a little bit more specific, people are going to be idol worship and have false prophets, false idols, false gods. All those things are going to be happening, right? So there's your first 4 commandments out the door. Right? So you're going to have a whole lot of idolatry and a lot of false religion, all this false going on, right? And then to love thy neighbor as ourselves, what should not do? We should not steal, we should not covet, we should not murder, we should honor our mother and father, we should do all those things, right? And I'm really talking about all of Torah, right? But I'm just getting to the basics, right? So those things are going to be out the door, right? The bearing false witness, you're going to do that all the time. That's going to just increase, right? Killing and murdering each other, that's just going to increase, right? Coveting is going to increase. All these things are going to increase, and that's how the love of many will wax cold. So sin will increase because the love will go down, okay? And then let's drop to 21. And 21 says, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. Right? So it's going to be a time unlike any other time, or at least the other ones will pale in comparison at this. After this is all over with, the building up to that is going to be jaw dropping. Let's just call it like it is. It's going to be jaw dropping because people are just not going to believe the devastation that is going to come upon the world at his return. Okay, we've all heard the expression that, it looks worse before it gets better. That's exactly what's going to happen. Because remember, all kinds of plagues and earthquakes and all these type of things, okay? And wormwood and rivers of blood and oceans of blood and all these things that's going to be happening on the world. All kinds of supernatural phenomena that's going to be happening. And people just not going to... It's just some people just faint, okay, just fall out and die. It's just that simple. because the Lord is not going to be playing in that day. That day is a very, very serious day. And his trumpets is pointing to a day, is an announcement of that day is coming, right? So let's go on over to Daniel chapter 11. Okay, Daniel chapter 11, because he talked about the end times too. Okay, Daniel chapter 11, I'm going to look at 31. It says, "And arms shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and they shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that make it desolate," right? Because we can look at the Greeks when they done that. We can look at Rome, when they done that. But like if we look at just in Greeks in that captivity, right, where the Greeks they were putting pigs, slaughtering pigs on the altar and all that stuff. See, all these things start to unfold. Now, of course, Daniel wrote this before it even happened. Okay, he wrote this ahead of time before it even happened. But let's look at this other thing in 36. He said, "And the king shall do according to his will. He shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. For that is determined shall be done." So all these things are going to happen. Now you can look at like I said, the Greek, and you read more of this when you go to the Apocrypha, right? You read more of what happened in the Greek captivity in the Apocrypha. I'm just gonna, you go to the Maccabees, okay? First, second Maccabees, you read those, and that's gonna let you know. That's gonna give you an account of what was going on during this Greek time period, okay? So with that, we're gonna go on over to 12. Now, all these things that start to happen, but remember, there's nothing new under the sun. People have murdered in the past, they're doing it today, and going to do it in the future. And I'm just giving an example, okay? People have exalted themselves in the past, okay? People exalt themselves today, and they're going to exalt themselves in the future. There were false prophets in the past. You guys get the point, right? You guys get the point. So Daniel 12. Daniel 12, we're going to start at verse 1, okay? Now let's look at this. Now this is future as well, right? Now look at this. He says, "At that time shall Michael stand up," talking about Michael the archangel, "the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book." Now this has not happened yet. "And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake." So many people who are dead in their graves shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shamed and everlasting contempt. So some people are not going to make it, right? Some people will awake and be saved. Okay, so this is people who are waiting in the grave. Okay, waiting in the grave, that sleep in the dust of the earth. I'm gonna let that marinate. Now let's drop down to verse 6. In verse 6 it says, "And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, How long shall it be to the end of these wonders? And I said, and I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times, and half. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. So it's giving us an idea of when is this going to happen? When all this is going to unfold, right? That's what we're talking about. All the things that we're going to unfold. Okay. So with that, we're going to move forward, and we're going to go over to 2 Thessalonians, because we got to let these trumpets unfold. So the Lord works according to his feast days. He set this calendar up. Okay, so he's working his plan according to his feast days, and we're just lucky enough that he's let us see it, right? He has us put these things into practice. That's why we observe these days. Okay, that's why we pay attention to that, so that we are aware. Okay, just so we have knowledge, just so we know what is going on. And it's good for us to dive deep into these type of things. So when these things are happening in our lifetime, we can recognize what it is, especially when the prophets, when they're telling us, look for these things. When he's telling us to look for certain things, all we have to do is walk circumspect, so we can know, okay, all right, okay, I see what this is. You see? So it's important for us to know these things. So let's go on over to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. I'm going to start at verse 1, which reads, "Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, and by our gathering together unto him." So right there, that tells you this well, Paul already believed what's going to happen is he's going to come back and he's going to gather us together, right? So that tells you right there. "That ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that the day of the Christ is at hand." Okay, so none of you, don't be shaken. Don't worry about it, because he will show up. Okay, he will show up. Now, even if you're not alive when he shows up, you awake when he shows up, when he calls you out of the grave, right? He said, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition," or the son of destruction, right? So he's telling you, okay, it's going to come, but certain things have to happen first. First, a falling away will happen, right? So the Messiah in Matthew 24, he gave us a couple of signs. These things are going to happen. These things are going to happen. Okay, this is going to happen. That's going to happen. And then I'm going to show up, right? And then Paul is saying the same thing. He's giving you more clues. Okay, look for this, look for that, right? Just to have an idea. Verse 4. "Who posed and exalted himself above all that is called God, or that is worship, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God." Now, remember, we were just reading that over in Daniel, right? Okay, and then I referred to the same thing or similar things happen in the Greek captivity when you go read the Apocrypha, right? I said there's nothing new under the sun. Now, all that happened before Paul's time, but Paul is still saying something similar is going to happen in the future. Right? He's still saying something is going to happen. Because you're talking about 400 or 500 years, talking about going back to Daniel. You're talking about something Daniel was talking about. Then it started to happen or unfold in the Greek captivity. And so it's very similar, okay? Look, go read what happened. And then something similar happened. And then you go back, you come up a few more centuries and you get to the first century in Paul's time. And he's still reading that, hey, some dude, verse 4, "who opposes and exalted himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped," okay, making himself the man, right? This false idol, "so that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God." He said, "I'm God, I'm the man," right? So that's going to happen. That's going to happen. Now, a lot of people, we got our, speculation and stuff. People got to say, oh, well, the Roman Catholic Church, the Pope's going to do this, and they're going to build a third temple, and they're going to do. Watch and see. Let's wait and see what's going to happen. Let's let it unfold. Let's keep our eyes open, our ears open, and see what unfolds. Okay? That's our job. Okay? To be prepared and watch and see what unfolds. Then we know what to do accordingly, right? We know what to expect, right? So let's go on. Let's take a look at some trumpets real quick. Let's go to Numbers, okay? Numbers 31, because I told you in the beginning, I said, well, the trumpet is about either warning you or announcing the coming, or announcing something is coming, right? And obviously in this case, this is going to be announcing the coming of our King, right? King is coming. So let's keep this in our memory bank here. So Numbers 31, and we're going to start at verse 1, right? Let's take a look. "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Avenge the children of Israel of the Midianites. Afterwards shalt thou be gathered unto thy people. And Moses spake unto the people, saying, Arm some of yourselves unto the war, and let them go against the Midianites, and avenge the Lord of Midian. Of every tribe 1,000, throughout all the tribes of Israel, shall ye send to war. So there were delivered out of the thousands of Israel's 1,000 of every tribe, 12,000 armed for war." Okay, so 1,000 out of every tribe, right? "And Moses sent them to war, 1,000 of every tribe, them and Phinehas, the son of Eleazar the priest, to the war with the holy instruments and the trumpets to blow in his hand," because it is a signaling, right? "And they warred against the Midianites, and the Lord commanded Moses, and they slew all the males," right? So it was time. See, Israel, it doesn't mean that we got to be a passive people all the time, right? So anyway, when you lose instruments of war, they had the trumpets because blowing it meant something, right? Sounding the trumpet meant something. When they heard the trumpet, they knew what they were supposed to do, right? So let's go on over to Joshua. Okay, let's go to Joshua. Okay, trumpets are very, very symbolic, right? Joshua chapter 6 and verse 1. Joshua 6 and 1. Now Jericho was straitly shut up because of the children of Israel. None went out and none came in. And the Lord said unto Joshua, See, I have given into thy hands Jericho, and the king thereof, and the mighty men of valor. And ye shall compass the city, all ye men of war, and go round about the city once. Thus shalt thou do 6 days. So you're going to do this for 6 days. And 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns. And the 7th day ye shall compass the city 7 times. And the priests shall blow with the trumpets. And it shall come to pass that when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, and when ye hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city shall fall down flat. And the people shall ascend up every man straight before him. I told you these trumpets, that mean something, right? It's a signal. 6. And Joshua the son of Nun called the priests and said unto them, Take up the ark of the covenant, and let 7 priests bear 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord. And he said unto the people, Pass on and compass the city, and let him that is armed pass on before the ark of the Lord. And it came to pass, when Joshua had spoken unto the people, that the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horn passed on before the Lord, and blew with the trumpets, and the ark of the covenant of the Lord followed them. Right? So let's jump down to verse 12. Let's jump down a little bit. Verse 12. It says, And Joshua rose early in the morning, and the priests took up the ark of the Lord. And 7, again, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, keep that in mind. And 7 priests bearing 7 trumpets of ram's horn before the ark of the Lord went on continually and blew with the trumpets. And the armed men went before them, but the reward came after the ark of the Lord, the priests going on and blowing with trumpets. Drop to verse 15. And it came to pass on the 7th day that they rose early about the dawning of the day, and compassed the city after the same manner 7 times. Only on that day they compassed the city 7 times, right? So in that one day they compassed it 7 times. The other day they circled it 1 time. Okay? Verse 16. And it came to pass at the 7th time, when the priests blew with the trumpets, Joshua said unto the people, Shout, for the Lord has given you the city. I mean, your victory is guaranteed, right? Victory is guaranteed at this point. Okay? Drop down to 20. And it said, So the people shouted with the priests, when the priests blew with the trumpets, and it came to pass, when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, and the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down flat, so that the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city. Okay? So again, it's very, very symbolic. These trumpets are very, very symbolic of what's about to happen. They were about to rush the city, right? Now, they didn't have to do anything, okay? Remember, all they did was, for 6 days, or they did it for 7 days total, but for 6 days, they circled the city, blew the trumpet. Circled the city, blew the trumpet. And on the 7th, they circled the city 7 times, blew the trumpet, and they went straight in. The wall fell down just from the blowing of the trumpets. Okay? See, a lot of times the Lord, it may not make sense to us, our natural mind. That may not make a whole lot of sense to us, but it was effective and it worked. This is how the Most High, this is how he operates. Okay? Sometimes it's just a matter of us just simply obeying, just do what he says, and you go from there. And he'll take care of the rest. Okay? So that's basically all they did. He blew the trumpets, took the walls down, and then after that, they took care. They went straight ahead, marched straight ahead after the wall fell down, walked straight ahead, and they took out the city. They took everybody out the city, and boom, they got it. Okay, they got the victory. Victory was pretty much guaranteed. Period. Okay, so we're still looking at these trumpets and moving forward. So let's go to Nehemiah. Nehemiah chapter 4. Okay, and then we'll move around a little bit. Nehemiah chapter 4. So let's begin in verse 15. And it says, and it came to pass, when our enemies heard that it was known unto us, and God had brought their counsel to naught, that we returned all of us to the wall, every one unto his work. Okay, this is when Nehemiah, obviously, when they were rebuilding the wall, right? In 16, it says, and it came to pass from that time forth, that the half of my servants wrought in the work, and the other half of them held both the spears, the shields, and the bows, and the harbingers, and the rulers were behind all the house of Judah, right? So some people are standing at the ready in case something goes down, right? And 17, and they which builded on the wall, and they that bear burdens with those that laid it, every one with one of their hands wrought in work, and with the other hand held a weapon, right? So they were watching, they were building that wall, and be like, okay, yeah, somebody, let somebody come, all right, go ahead and walk, all right, watch your back, watch my back, okay, all right, who's that over there? Who's that? Oh, okay, it's all right, that's cool, we're gonna keep working, right? So they had to keep this thing going. They had to keep it building and had to be ready, right? And it says in 18, it says, for the builders, everyone had his sword girded on his side. Boom. So today you'd have a gun on your hip, right? And so build it. And they that sounded the trumpet was by me. Look at that. Okay. Look at that. And in 20, it says, in what place, therefore, ye hear the sound of the trumpet, resort ye thither unto us. Our God shall fight for us. Okay. So you come, you draw back, you come back close to us. You hear this trumpet, y'all come gather. We're going to collect ourselves, gather right here. And then, the Lord shall, fight for us, right? Kind of like when they blew the trumpets over in Jericho, right? Kind of like that. Knocking that wall down. It wasn't really the trumpets. We know that was the Most High, right? Okay. But again, that's him. When the victory is guaranteed, that is the Lord fighting for you. Okay, that is him fighting for you. Okay, he is getting the job done. But when you hear the trumpet, it's a signaling. They understand what is going on, what's about to happen, right? All right, class. We're gonna go over to Psalm 97. Okay, Psalm 97. All right, and Israel, we're gonna go ahead and start in verse 1. And it says, "The Lord reigneth; let the earth rejoice. Let the multitude of isles be glad thereof. Clouds and darkness are round about him. Righteousness and judgment are the habitation of his throne. A fire goeth before him, and burneth up his enemies round about." Okay? Before he even have to really lift a finger, right? "His lightnings enlighten the world, the earth saw and trembled. The hills melted like wax at the presence of the Lord, and at the presence of the Lord of the whole earth. The heavens declare his righteousness, and all the people see his glory. Confounded be all they that serve graven images, that boast themselves of idols. Worship him, all ye gods." So all these idol worshipers, okay, all these fake believers, all these people believe in the wrong one, believing in the wrong God. When the true and living shows up, they're going to be confounded. What is going on? Right? Don't know what's really going on. Confounded be all they that serve graven images. Okay, all these images that you guys have, no, none of them. Okay, I don't even care if the image is melanated. You're not supposed to have that either. Right? None of that. That boast themselves of idols. Okay, so none of that. I don't care if it's a pale face image or a melanated image. No image. Right? Verse 8, "Zion heard and was glad, and the daughters of Judah rejoiced because of thy judgments, O Lord. For thou, Lord, art high above all the earth. Thou art exalted far above all gods. Okay? Ye that love the Lord hate evil. He preserved the souls of his saints, and he delivered them out of the hands of the wicked. Okay? So when he comes, he's going to come. He's going to kick in the door. He's going to come descending on the cloud with a shout. All these things are going to happen. Okay? All these things are going to happen. In like manner, the way he really left and ascended, he's going to really come back. Okay? All those things are going to happen. Let's go on over to Isaiah. So Israel, are you with me so far? Okay. All right. So we're going to go Isaiah 27, verse 12. And it shall come to pass in that day, the Lord shall beat off from the channel of the river unto the stream of Egypt, and ye shall be gathered one by one. Who's going to get gathered? O ye children of Israel. Come on, Israel. 13. And it shall come to pass in that day that the great what? Trumpet shall be blown. And they shall come, which were ready to perish in the land of Assyria and the outcasts of the land of Egypt, and shall worship the Lord in the holy mount of Jerusalem. Oh, another geographical location in the mount of Jerusalem. Here we go again. This is going to gather you, all the outcasts. We are outcasts, right? This is not our country. I'm talking about the West. I'm in America. This is not our natural country, right? We're going to be gathered. We are outcasts, right? So Israel, these things are going to happen. We're not gathered yet, so we know all these things are not fulfilled. We're not gathered yet, okay? Among other things, among dozens and dozens of other things that hasn't happened yet. But these things are going to happen, and it's going to be announced with the trumpets. Okay, all these things are going to unfold with trumpets. Okay? Now, let's take a look at these trumpets, okay? Let's take a look of the trumpets. Okay? In Revelation 8, we're going to go to the end of the book, and we're going to look at these trumpets real quick, okay? Then we'll start closing out. So let's look at these trumpets. Revelation 8, and let's start in verse 1, and we'll move around. Revelation 8 and 1 says, and when he had opened the seventh seal, there was a silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. And I saw the seven angels which stood before God, and to them were given seven trumpets. And the other angels came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all the saints upon the golden altar, which was before the throne. Now I'm going to drop down to 6. And the seven angels which had the seven trumpets prepared themselves to sound. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth. Okay, so look at some of the things that are coming on the earth. And the third part of the trees was burnt up, and all green grass was burnt up. Okay, so there goes a lot of vegetation going right there. Okay. And then we're going to look at Revelation chapter 9. Okay, we'll jump around. Let's start at 1 and jump to 11. In 9, it says, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. Drop down to 11. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, because we're talking about, Satan, but it says here, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue had his name Apollyon. Okay, so now we know who is the king of the bottomless pit. So we know that it's Satan, right? Satan is there, right? And so now we're starting to get a timeline of things that are about to happen. The trumpets are announcing. So it's not just announcing, hey, the king is coming. It's also announcing that, okay, Satan is coming in full force. Okay, one of the trumpets, that is, he's coming in full force. Okay, so at the fifth trumpet, Satan is on the loose. Like I said, it's an announcement, right? It's an announcement that where there's going to be a natural calamity or Satan coming or the king coming. Okay? So at the fifth angel, that's when Satan is going to be loosed, right? So now we're going to go to Revelation 10 and 7. Okay? Now let's look at this. Revelation 10 and 7, it says, But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, okay, so this is the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, okay, he's going to begin to sound. And when he does this, what's going to happen? The mystery of God should be finished. And he had declared to his servants, the prophets. Okay, so the mystery of God shall be finished, and it's going to happen at the seventh angel. The seventh angel. So let's see. Let's look at this. The mystery of God should be finished. So let's go to 1 Corinthians 15, and let's see, what is this mystery of God, right? It's a good question. What is this mystery of God? So now we got 7 angels, 7 trumpets. At the 7th trumpet, the mystery of God shall be finished. Something's going to happen, right? The mystery of God is going to be finished. So 1 Corinthians 15, I'm starting at 50, which reads, now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, neither doth corrupt inherit incorruption. I mean, you're not going to go in there flesh and blood, regular sinful flesh and blood. You got to have something that's everlasting, right? A new body. And then it says right here in 51, behold, I show you a mystery. The mystery of God shall be accomplished, right? It's going to happen at the 7th trump. Okay. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. So we shall not all die, but we shall be changed. Okay. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. How many trumpets? 7. At the last trumpet, these things are going to happen. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. The mystery of God. Okay, so he's going to come and rain down a lot of death and destruction. And the people who can abide in that day of death and destruction are those who are going to have a change, an immortal, a brand new body, so they can withstand the destruction that's going to come on the face of the earth. Does that at least make sense, Israel? Okay, so let's keep going. So we know is that the 7th trumpet, 7 angels begin to sound, the mystery of God should be fulfilled. Paul says, behold, let me show you a mystery that's going to happen, that we shall not all sleep, but we shall be changed, and it's going to happen at the last trump. So does it all line up? Okay. Wow, let's go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. Okay. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, we're going to start at 13, which reads, but I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that ye sorrow not, even as others which have no hope. For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Jesus will God bring with him. For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain also unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep. Well, we won't go before them which are asleep. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. So we already know it's the 7th trump. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. The mystery of God, the mystery of heaven. So he's going to come back, 7th trump, will be changed, and then he's going to rain down a lot of death and destruction. Interesting. So let's go back to Matthew 24. Okay, now just putting it all together, right? Here a little, there a little, look, precept upon precept, right? Line upon line. And what have we been doing this entire class, Israel? Okay, Matthew 24, and we're gonna start at 29. In 29, he says, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the 4 winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Again, gathering together too. Gathering together, that's part of the deal. Gathering us together at the last trump. Okay, let's not forget that. Now, let's look at the 7th angel. Let's look at this 7th trump a little bit too. Okay, this is the memorial of the blowing of the trumpets. So let's look at this over in Revelation chapter 11. And I'm going to start at 15. Revelation 11:15. And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever. And the 4 and 24 elders which sat before God in their seats fell upon their faces and worshipped God, saying, We give thanks, we give thee thanks, O Lord, God Almighty, which art and was and art to come, because thou hast taken to thee thy great power and hast reigned. In verse 18. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come. And the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that they shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. Okay, so look at all the things that start to unfold, right? We're starting to look at all these things that started to unfold, and we're not even done. Okay, we're not even done. We're going to go to Revelation 19. All these things are starting to unfold at the last trump. Time for judgment. Time to wake people out of the earth. Okay, time for some people going to wake up to everlasting life, and some to everlasting contempt. This is the time after the last trump, right? Revelation 19. Okay, Revelation 19. I'm going to start at verse 11, which reads, And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he does judge and make war. And his eyes were a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty God. Okay, this is war. Okay, and the winepress, this is war, this is bloodshed, right? And them being crushed, right? That's why his vestures was dipped in blood, because of war. And he had on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, Come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great God. Okay, this supper is just all these dead bodies, right? That ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sit upon them, and the flesh of all men, both bond and free, both small and great. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse, and against his army. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone, right? So we kind of get an idea he's going to come, he's going to clean things up. Because remember, at the fifth angel, at the fifth trumpet, Satan's revealed. He's come down, and the keys of the bottom, he's up, and he's wreaking havoc because he knows his time is short at that time. He knows his time is short at that time. Okay, he's unleashed, and he's going to do everything he can. He's going to have him set him up a false idol, a false prophet, and all that. Have the beast system, have all this natural stuff he's going to control, right? He's going to control all that stuff. He's going to try to do his worst before the Messiah comes, before the King returns, is what he's going to try to do, right? That's what he's trying to do. So he wants to do this before we get right here. Let's go to Revelation 16, right? So we're going to go to Revelation 16, and let's look at a couple of these things, right? Okay. So we dealt with the 7 trumpets, and now we got to look at the bowl judgments, or the 7 vials, right? So 16:1, it says, And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, Go your ways, and pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon the earth. The first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. Okay, so look at the people who are going to be in trouble at this first vial, right? Those who have the mark of the beast and worship his image. So idol worshipers, right? And the second angel poured out his vial upon the sea, and it became as the blood of dead men, and every living soul died in the sea. Okay, so again, okay, it's not good, people. This is bad stuff. And the third angel poured out his vial upon the rivers and the fountains of the waters, and they became blood. So now you can't even drink water, right? Thorough. You can't even drink water. Now, of course, the Most High protects his people, but these people or everybody else, you can't even drink the water. And I heard the angel of the waters say, "Thou art righteous, O Lord, which art and was and shall be, because thou hast judged thus." Okay, you were right for doing that. And he says, "For they have shed the blood of saints and prophets, and thou hast given them blood to drink, for they are worthy," meaning they deserved it. Okay, the people out there who are persecuting you, who are persecuting the saints, who persecuted the prophets, okay, who have persecuted the prophets and God's anointed and persecuted his people, Israel. He shed their blood, and so he's going to give them blood to drink. And then right here in the scripture said they deserved it. That's basically what's being said right there, right? Okay, for they are worthy. In verse 7, he said, "And I put another out of the altar say," and I heard another out of the altar say, "Even so, Lord God Almighty, true and righteous are thy judgments." And the fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and power was given unto him to scorch men with fire. And men were scorched with great heat, and blasphemed the name of God. Look at this. Now people being punished, and they blasphemed the name of God, which has power over these plagues, and they repented not to give him glory. Okay, so people, trust me, people are going to deserve this, because they're going to be blaspheming and cursing out God. They'll be like, I hate this guy, he's doing all it. You had time in the past to repent. You had time in the past to give him glory. Even right now, right now, you got people who have opportunity to give him glory and to serve him right now. They're not taking that. They're not taking the opportunity right now to do it, are they? Okay, so they are worthy of this. And repented him not. And then verse 10, "And the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain, and blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds." They kept doing what they wanted to do. They kept sinning. They kept doing whatever the heck they wanted to do. Okay? In verse 12, "And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the waters thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared." Meaning he letting them in. He letting the kings of the east come in, right? Letting them in. "And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophets," right? Just basically putting forth the command, right? "For they are the spirits of devils, miracle workers, which go forth unto the king of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of the great day of God Almighty," right? So these spirits, these demons, people who are influenced by that. They're working because of what the demons and the spirits are telling them to do, right? So the command just went out. That's basically what that meant. And then in 15, "Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame," right? That you're covered, that you're walking in righteousness, right? Keep your garments, meaning you keep walking in righteousness, lest people will know that you're not walking in righteousness, because you will be being punished like every other sinner, right? Every other idol worshiper, okay? And 16, "And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon." Now let's look at the seventh vial. "And the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, It is done. And there was voices and thunders and lightning, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth. So mighty an earthquake and so great. And the great city was divided into 3 parts. And the cities of the nations fell. And great Babylon came in remembrance before God, to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. And there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent. And men blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceeding great. So even in that day, people keep thinking, oh, well, God, he's mean and he's not fair. Even when it was happening, they were still blaspheming. Even when it was happening, they were still cursing. They're still disrespecting, still sinning. Unrepentant. They repented now. He did things, unrepentant now. Still didn't change their mind. This is why they were worthy of it. But all this, brothers and sisters, is being announced by the trumpets. All these things is being announced, letting them know. Which is why we have to observe and pay attention to these holy days. It is incumbent upon us to be circumspect, to be aware, to gain knowledge while we have time. It's very important for us to do this so we can have an understanding when we see certain things happen. So we thought 2020 was something. We thought that was a little something. There's nothing compared to what's to come. And no, not trying to scare you, trying to make you aware. Just trying to make you aware of what's to come. Because the King is coming. I hope you guys enjoy this feast day and praise the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Be edified. So until next time, search the scriptures and prove all things. Shalom, Israel.